We are right on the cusp of 3,000 subscribers to Red Sox Now. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Mike Antonellis, on social at the Radio Mike, on the TikTok, and on X. Hope you had a great weekend. The NFL playoffs they don't disappoint. You know what I like what we're doing in the NFL right now? And not just over the weekend, but we talk about football. I'm exhausted talking about TV deals and the potential lockout and all the other stuff that doesn't have to do with baseball. We do more baseball stuff. I understand that's kind of the topic, but I just like to talk the sport, and we'll do that today. We will get into some of the specifics, which we have to. But close to 3,000 subscribers in less than a year. Thank you so much, guys and gals. Really appreciate all of you. Big thanks. And it's free to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button as you're watching. And happy Monday, Martin Luther King Day. And again, hope you had a great weekend. So let's get to it. For those that are new, sidebar is what we do. The last section, the comments are all about you. We do 3 comments every day. The show runs Monday through Friday. Let's get to it. Market becomes clear with free agent signings. I've been following, I do this on purpose, not just for this show, but as a broadcaster for the Woo Sox. You like to keep up on what's going on with the other teams. So I follow a lot of other teams' beat writers and sports radio stations. And I will tell you this, the Phillies are getting absolutely destroyed. I was shocked to see the backlash that Dave Dombrowski is getting for the Bo Bichette deal. And it's very interesting because a lot of you make comments about the Bichette potential offer from the Red Sox. And I saw this on X from a lot of people saying that, watch, the Red Sox will never go 300. They'll go 200. Well, that's what the Phillies did. And the Phillies aren't getting, their local media is killing them. And they're putting their foot down with players. Dave Dombrowski is trying to get under this, I think the 4th threshold they're at. They're trying to get under that. But, and I've talked about this, even Dave is not completely reckless and will do what's best for his baseball team. And that was a fair offer, I think. 7-8 years? Is that what it was? $200 million? And he put his foot down with that. No, we're not doing that. But they are getting killed in Philly. I think it's a little over the top. I understand what these are player deals. And then Tucker turning down, in this day and age, $350 for 10 years. Would you have wanted the Red Sox to go down the road with Bichette that the Mets did? I say no. For this reason. It's the Bregman deal all over again, which a lot of you know, but what can you make of these deals? And I did a little TikTok about this. If you just examine these deals, they are pro player. And I know a lot of people have been telling me, no, it's more about the lockout. No, it's not. It's not. Bichette's willingness to play third base for the Mets at $42 million. He has an opt-out in the first 2 years. It's very easy to walk through from the deal what he's doing. If I play really good third base and hit near 300, I'm out. Think about the deal and the leverage that Bichette's going to have. That's why he has a willingness to play third. I'm not saying that that it's 100% all about money. But that position of priority at third base at $42 million doesn't work out, he stays. Then he gets another 42, whatever it is. So I don't want the Red Sox to go down that road again. And we don't know if he can play third base. I don't want to test a $42 million, let's wait and see third baseman. I don't like that stuff. I like the hitter, but I do not like rolling the dice on a player defensively. He's a Major League Baseball player, and, he'll probably be good at it, but I don't like that deal. And Dave Dombrowski is not someone that likes those kind of deals either, and I don't blame him. That's a pro player deal. Same with Tucker. To turn down a 10-year guaranteed $350. I mean, you get in Major League Baseball, I think a lot of you know, and if you don't, every single penny you get. Well, you get 64 over the next 2 years. Yes, but he still puts opt-outs in there because of Because why? Kyle Tucker's in the Dodgers lineup right now. More than likely, when you are in a lineup like that, and if he's going to be hitting, he's probably going to be hitting third. I see numbers, a mock lineup, so, the optimal lineup that he's going to hit fifth. I don't think so. I think he's probably going to hit third. I would think things are going to trend that this guy's going to probably have, he could have 2 MVP seasons. Oh, he's not going to opt out. He might not, but the fact that he turned down 10 and you could say, well, it's the Dodgers and the money. No doubt. But it's the financial stability that he gets up front where he gets that 128. And if he goes crazy, he's absolutely opting out of that deal. Absolutely. There's no doubt. Think about this. He could get 128 he's getting the 128 for 2. He could take 8 at 400 and make 528 and make almost $200 more million by opting out of the Blue Jays. So those deals were player deals, which that's their prerogative. There's nothing wrong with that. But there was nothing wrong with what the two organizations offered. Now, if the Red Sox had offered that to Bichette, people would be killing them. They would be. But I commend Dave Dombrowski for putting his foot down, and for the Blue Jays. They did it fair enough. And the Blue Jays and Phillies had, and I think the Red Sox, they all had chances at those lower deals, and they said no. And I don't blame them. I don't want to go down that road of opt-outs. I don't like that. Because I was just, I was assumed too much with Bregman. But, those opt-outs in the first year are not for the teams. You lose a lot of leverage, as we've seen. So very interesting stuff. That Tucker deal is just insane. Sean McAdam is reporting the catcher spot, a spot that I didn't really think was something that they were heavily thinking about. I guess when JT Realmuto started to pop up, and Victor Caratini was someone that was rumored. Dalton Rushing has been a name thrown out there. If you're not giving up a ton of capital, I understand it. So, I think with Connor Wong, certainly last year was tough for him in many aspects. If you look at his 24, the guy was pretty good. He had 280 with 13 homers, 52 RBIs. Wong and Houck had very similar 2025s. You look at how they were the year before. And this happens with younger players. They brought in, and hey, look at how Wong handled Narvaez, by the way. They traded for a catcher. You knew you weren't going to play. He handled it like a pro. He really did. You got to give him a lot of credit, the way he handled that. He was hurt, though. And he didn't play a lot. Setback with the injuries. And I thought he got going a little bit near the end of the year. It's tough when you're young, when you get hurt, and then you're trying to come back and you're not playing a lot. And, his defense is probably not at the level that they want. This is a different set of people running the organization where they put more priority on defense. Didn't work last year, but that's, again, this is only year 3 of Breslow. He's trying to change a lot. A lot of these are not his guys, remember. So I think for a backup, and I do think you want even a little less playing time for Narvaez as a young kid. I thought he caught a lot last year. But you want even better defense for that second player who's going to be your bench player. And I would think that if they're going to bring in a catcher, that Wong would be out. So I don't think you're going to try to do crazy stuff with capital to get a backup catcher, but I do think it's important. And Dalton Rushing, who's was he a huge prospect and didn't hit great for the Dodgers, but not bad behind the plate. So that is something to keep on the table, as is the outfield situation, which the Red Sox keep saying they can keep all 4, but I throw Yoshida in there, and that's not happening. You're not going to You can't have five of those guys. The four outfielders, Yoshida for three spots on a DH. I don't see that happening unless they move Rafaela to second base. Not sure which option I'm sold on, but I'm leaning towards signing Eugenio Suarez. I know we all don't love it. Some of us don't love it defensively. I have a text into my friend who's one of the broadcasters for Seattle, asking him what he thinks of him defensively. He saw him play every day. I trust those guys' evaluations. But here's my feelings on this. I'm not totally against Isaac Paredes at all. I enjoyed watching him play with Toronto, and it has nothing to do with, I'm not looking at numbers or anything. He's not a bad third baseman defensively. I think some things I do like about him is that he could hit second. He's more of a contact hitter. Houston even had him leading off. But I'm not sure that if they trade the capital that is rumored, if that's a good idea. Is that come off more desperate for someone at third, which this can happen to you by not signing Bregman. That's there's a lot of downsides. I'm still not for what happened, but this is another downside. If you are trying to do this, you're going to have to, we know that you're going to have to compensate and give up something. And I don't know if giving up Duran for Paredes, or if it was Duran and Bello, I'm not sure if that's something I want to do, because I still think Duran's a leadoff hitter. And even if you don't think he's a leadoff hitter and you lead off Roman Anthony, then who do you hit third? I like Roman Anthony hitting third. But I'm just not sure if it's worth a potential 2 to 3 big leaguers plus a high top prospect for a third baseman, because you need a third baseman. I don't want that to be the reason that you're doing it. I know that sounds weird. Well, you say, well then, but you do need you do. But I don't think at the expense of, if it's 3 25-man roster players. So maybe you sign Suarez, and if you're not sold at second base, you use that capital and get Donovan and do that. It looks like Marte's a done deal, but Donovan would probably sting more. But I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm leaning more towards the free agent at third. And then it gives you back that negotiating power where you could look at the second base situation and then just say, well, we're fine. See, right now you're not fine, because teams know you have a question mark there. Even if you're sitting and saying, no, we're good with Meyer, teams are not going to buy that. If you bring in Suarez to play third and you have Meyer, Romy Gonzalez, even Rafaela, it's more of a legitimate case to another organization that, no, we're good in terms of negotiations. If they're trying to push a second, but no, no. But, the other way, it's, if you're Houston, I mean, and also I do want to kind of remind people too, like, the Astros won 87 games last year. And I get a lot of trade proposals from teams that had good years last year. You have to think about how much sense does it make for them. Like, I get a lot of Cincinnati Reds players should be traded. Why? Why would they want to do that? They were a wild card team last year. Terry Francona is their manager. He already squashed the Hunter Green thing. He's not going to be trading everyday players to the Boston Red Sox. Like, I like a lot of these things that people give me, but please remember or look up, where these teams ranked last year and look at the other side of the coin. Like, the Brewers are a completely different animal because that's how they do business. They have openly come out and said they want to get rid of Freddie Peralta, which is crazy to me. For as much complaining as some do here, that is embarrassing of an organization. The fact that they win 97 games, and I have people say, well, they keep making it work. But would you as a fan be okay with that? Trading one of your ace pitchers because you don't want to pay him after coming off 97 wins in the National League? I know they won more games than the Dodgers. They didn't win the World Series the last time I checked, and they lost to the Dodgers in the playoffs. But some of these teams, it doesn't make sense for them to trade with you unless they get considerably better. And I just don't see where the Astros are just going to dump Isaac Paredes on your lap. And if they do, that's on them. I mean, they shouldn't do that. I don't think they run, I give Houston credit for this reason. They were kind of the first to say, all right, we are blowing this you know what up. Right? I don't think people remember, like, they kind of started all of this. They were in financial hell. They did unbelievable things to get rid of. You should look at some of the years that they suffered. But then there was that article, I think, on Sports Illustrated where they said this is going to be the World Series champs in whatever year, and they did win it that year. They were kind of the first to do this whole tanking thing, which I remember Buster Olney mentioning this on a podcast, and I was like, baseball teams are tanking? I could not believe it. And then they did it. And then, Baltimore really did it, and not as good as Houston, but a lot of teams have done it. But Houston was kind of that first team to say, this is how we're running our baseball operations. And to their credit, they have let go of a lot of great players. I mean, Bregman, Tucker, I mean, you go on and on and on, Valdez, and they continue to win. So when I look at the way they do things, it's hard for me to, I don't love it if I was an Astro fan, but they've made it work. So then you could say, well, then why wouldn't they trade Paredes in this situation? Well, because of that position. They could go with Correa, I know, at third. And they can certainly make it work. And they could think that they're getting better too, right? If they got Duran or Bayo. But that's my point in all this. This is, you got to look at the organization you're working with here. This feels like, the way that they do business, this feels like you will have to make it hurt a lot. And I don't know. I don't think it's worth the capital. But again, it's third base. And if you pass on something and you have conviction on the other one, it better work, because we know what it looks like at third base if you can't play there. And if Suarez is the guy and it doesn't work out, and I'll eat crow on that. I don't mind. It's bone a bit. But it feels like a better option to me right now. Maybe I'll change in a few days too. Your comments never changes. End of the show. Data Catalado. Too much for Tucker, and the Mets catch the Bichette hot potato. I don't care if it's only 3 years. It's still going to age like milk. I'm grateful that if the Red Sox had to spend free agent money, they spent it on Suarez. They did not see that one coming. True, but I would have been okay with a Bichette deal if it was no opt-outs and not playing third base. Because there's no chance if he has, obviously, the impending lockout, but that's all I'm going to get more on the back end. Think about it. Players that turn down those kind of deals, long-term stability with pretty good money, tells us that they feel like they can get more. Plus, Tucker got 128 for 2. Joseph Ackerman, Z7X. Hi, Mike. I see where Bichette signed with the Mets. I'll hear he'll play third. Is Brett Beatty good defensively? Possibly Red Sox target. Yeah, he's not bad. I saw him a lot in Worcester, playing for the Syracuse Mets. Another left-handed hitter. I don't think that's where they want to go. I don't know if the Mets would be willing to move a bunch of third basemen now, because if Bichette doesn't work out, they might move him to second. We'll see. Nicholas Foley, 7105. Why don't we sign Suarez to play third? Good pop, good defense. Don't think you'd have a long-term deal with him. What do you think? Yeah, I don't think the defense is that great. That's the problem with him. If you look at the advanced metrics, which I have, they're pretty brutal. They're brutal. I don't love doing that, but I haven't seen a lot of him play live, but they are pretty bad. I compared him with Devers, and some of them are worse than Devers. But I mentioned this on Friday, and I'm not saying that I'm not sticking up for the Red Sox here. I'm just giving you another avenue of what they do. The Red Sox and other teams don't use all of the advanced statistics defensively that we have. Our manager in Worcester told us this last year. We asked to see that information. He politely told us to, you know what? No, he didn't say that. Chad Tracy would never do that. He said, no, he can't show us, but they have a different way of evaluating players defensively. And a lot of teams do. They don't use the Baseball Savant page. They don't use a lot of we have an MLB advanced data. I wish I could share my screen here and show you that I have, that we get in Worcester. We're part of this. So like our MLB stats portal that we have all kinds of defensive things that I can look at, and the Red Sox don't use that either. It's a lot of, I think it's a lot of their professional scouts that do things that they say, I'm just throwing this out there. This could, needs improvement with his footwork, tends to throw. Like they have all these things where some things might look bad statistically, but it's things that they can maybe work on. So we'll see. But I'm really starting to buy into. I'd rather do that. I'm not opposed to that because I'm just thinking about capital as we wrap up the show. The capital that you might have to give up. And I get you have a surplus of pitching. I get that. But that doesn't mean to do it just to fill a spot. You have to do it with conviction. And I have no doubt that Breslow is not going to just say, we need a third baseman, so here's Duran early in Bayo and someone else. So we'll see. We'll see what happens this week. Things are starting to steamroll with the free agents. We're getting even closer. Let's see on my little thing here. 68 days till spring training. No, 68 days to this is the AAA. 68 days to the regular season for AAA. AAA starts first in the minors. Big leagues, 33 days, the Larry Bird number to spring training, 66 to the regular season. Just over 2 months, and we'll have baseball. We got a ton of snow here on the East Coast as well. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on the socials at the Radio Mike. Have a great Monday, and as always, go Sox.